Welcome to Academics Anonymous. Since you clicked on this video, it seems like you're interested in studying abroad in Korea for a graduate degree, or at least you're considering the idea. Let's say you're a foreigner from a Western country looking to earn a master's or a Ph.D. in Korea. You're probably asking yourself things like, can I afford it? Can I survive in Korea without knowing the language? Will a degree from Korea even be worth anything in my home country? These are questions you definitely should be asking yourself if you're planning to dedicate between 2 and 6 years of your life towards earning a degree abroad. Well, you're in luck because these are the kinds of questions I'll be answering in this video. So, let's get started. The first question you should be asking yourself is, will a graduate degree from Korea be recognized in my home country? Now, the answer to this will greatly depend on the graduate school you choose to attend, as well as which country you're coming from, with Southeast Asian countries and African countries having more relaxed standards, and Western countries having more strict standards when it comes to which degrees they'll consider to be credible. But Korea is a highly developed country, so generally speaking, universities that are accredited in Korea are also considered legitimate all across the world. Just to be safe, the best approach is to choose from the highest ranking universities in Korea according to the various university ranking systems available. Among the best world university ranking systems are Times Higher Education World Ranking, QS World Ranking, and US News World Ranking. As a general rule of thumb, if the school is among the top 10 Korean universities in any of the ranking sites, you'd be safe to assume it'll be recognized in your home country, including the US. These schools include the SKY universities, being Seoul National University, Korea University, and Yonsei University, major science institutes such as KAIST and Posttech, and other famous schools like Hanyang University, SKKU, and Ewha Women's University. While all of the university ranking systems I previously mentioned are globally recognized and trusted systems, QS ranking has a strong reputation across Asia, Times Higher Education ranking is favored throughout most of Europe, and America tends to go off of US News World Ranking. So keep that in mind when considering your plans after graduating from a program in Korea. The second question you might ask is, do I have to know Korean to get accepted? And the answer to this question, once again, is, it depends. Language requirements vary from school to school depending on the location of the university and the major being applied for. Most undergraduate programs require a high level of Korean proficiency determined by the Test of Proficiency in Korean, also known as the TOPIK test. However, graduate programs tend to be a little more flexible. STEM majors, those being science, technology, engineering, and mathematics majors, especially those at science institutes like KAIST, KIST, GIST, UNIST, UST, or Posttech, typically offer programs that have no Korean language requirements. This is because the international language of science and technology is English. However, almost all science colleges in Korea will require a high level of English proficiency. Universities located in Seoul also tend to be a bit more flexible regarding Korean language requirements, as a large portion of the Seoul population can speak English pretty well, although they'd be too shy to admit it. In contrast, attending a rural university in a city with a smaller population, or majoring in any kind of arts or humanities would likely require a high Korean proficiency. If you do manage to secure admission into any of the universities in Korea, they'd likely offer numerous programs for learning Korean. I suggest you take them and learn the language as quickly as possible because it makes a world of difference. Another question you might ask is, how do I choose an advising professor? Well, there are a lot of different strategies for this. The answer will depend on what it is you want from your graduate school experience, and honestly, foreigners attend graduate school in Korea for a lot of different reasons. Some foreign students choose Korea in order to access quality schools with world-class facilities. Others are looking for programs that pay a larger stipend than what's paid in their home country. And some are just looking for a low-cost way to travel Korea for an extended period of time with access to inexpensive room and board. But one factor I recommend keeping in mind is how close that advisor is to retirement. If it's less than 5 years, don't do a Ph.D. program under them. This is because they stop raising funds closer to retirement, and if they run out of money while you're still in the lab, it can leave you stranded without a degree and without a source of income. Similarly, you should also consider the tenure of the professor. Lower-ranking professors are often under a lot of pressure to perform and produce great results to help them get promoted. This means long hours for the students. One unspoken rule in Korean labs is, if the professor is still in the office, you should still be in the lab. Another important factor is lab size. A larger lab means more chances of collaboration and teamwork, but less one-on-one guidance with your professor. Also, consider whether or not the lab already has foreign members. If so, you might be able to reach out to one to get even more information about the lab. If not, you can usually get answers to most of these questions online at the university's websites. Many professors also have their own independently operated lab websites as well. One neat trick many Koreans use is a professor ranking website called Ph.D.kim.net. It has a lot of features, but it's basically a Korean version of a Rate My Professor website. The website is a collection of reviews from students who previously attended classes of the professor in question, or from students who were members in their labs. The website answers questions like whether the professor was friendly or strict, or whether the lab has a relaxed atmosphere or a stressful atmosphere, things like that. Another common question is, what will the social life be like? To be fair, just by signing up for graduate school, you're simultaneously reducing your social life in some ways and increasing it in other ways. But I'm assuming you won't be in lab 24/7 and you'll manage to have at least a few hours per week to yourself. Be warned, choosing a graduate program in a science institute drastically reduces your social life in two ways. First, the workload increases exponentially. And second, the people in these science institutes tend to be less interested in going out, drinking, playing sports, etc. Conversely, schools like Yonsei and Korea University have a reputation for enjoying the nightlife and embracing the party culture. I think this has to do with the diversity of majors and having more free time, less stress, and less pressure. If you plan on taking your academic performance seriously, going to a highly social school might not be the best idea because the distractions are exceedingly tempting. Another interesting thing to consider is that many Korean professors organize frequent lab dinners or events that include late-night drinking or karaoke, which they call norebang, but this varies from professor to professor. And for all the passport bros out there, one thing that might be of particular interest to you is the ratio of girls to guys on a particular campus. You can find this information out in the World University ranking sites that I mentioned earlier. But in general, science and technology institutes in Korea tend to have a far higher proportion of male students, whereas schools that include majors relating to humanities or arts tend to be more evenly balanced or might even have a larger proportion of female students. And the next question, does the location of the graduate school make a difference? Geography plays a significant role in the graduate school experience in Korea, affecting everything from lifestyle and leisure activities to mental well-being and academic performance. Korea offers a diverse range of environments, from the pali-pali hustle of Seoul to the more relaxed and peaceful countryside. Seoul, the capital city, is the most populated and is known for its vibrant culture and limitless social opportunities. However, this also means it can be a distracting and expensive place to live. On the other hand, smaller cities like Daejeon, known for its research and technology focus, or Gwangju, famous for its food culture, offer a quieter, more focused environment, which might be more conducive to academic success, especially if you're like me and easily distracted by the social scene. The climate is another geographic factor to consider. For example, Seoul, located in the northern part of the country, experiences cold winters with snowfall, whereas Busan, a southern coastal city, has relatively warmer winters and a beachside lifestyle. If you're sensitive to the cold or have a strong preference for a particular climate, these differences could impact your decision. Pyeongchang, the mountain city that hosted the 2018 Olympics, might appeal to those who love winter sports, whereas the beaches of Busan might be more attractive to those who enjoy warmer weather or water activities. Ultimately, when choosing a graduate school in Korea, it's essential to consider how the location aligns with your personal preferences, lifestyle, and academic goals. Whether you thrive in a crowded city environment or prefer the peace of a smaller town, the geographic setting can greatly influence your overall graduate school experience. And the next important question, can I afford graduate school in Korea? When selecting a graduate school in Korea as a foreigner, one of the most critical factors to consider is the stipend amount offered by the school. The stipend you receive can vary significantly depending on several factors, including your degree major, the level of funding in the lab you join, and the reputation of the university. Typically, students in science and technology fields tend to receive higher stipends than those in humanities or arts, due to the higher level of research funding available in those areas. It's important to remember that as a graduate student in Korea, you'd be under the D2 visa, and you're not allowed to seek external employment. This means that your stipend will be your primary, if not sole, source of income during your studies. Therefore, carefully evaluating the stipend offered by each program is crucial. You need to ensure that it covers your living expenses, including rent, food, transportation, and other essentials. For instance, the cost of living can vary dramatically between cities. Living in Seoul is significantly more expensive than living in smaller cities or rural areas. Rent for a studio apartment in Seoul typically costs a minimum of $1,000,000 or $700 per month, but it's typically a lot more. Whereas in smaller cities, it might only cost between 200 and 700,000 won, or $150 to $500 per month. This difference in living costs can greatly impact how far your stipend will stretch. Therefore, when choosing a graduate school, it's vital to consider not just the stipend amount, but how it aligns with the living costs in that particular city. And the last question, is it worth it to live off campus, or should I live in a dormitory? The answer depends on your goals during your graduate program. Unlike in the US, dormitories in Korea are a lot more strictly regulated. Dare I say, students are treated like children. Dormitories in Korea don't allow the mixing of men and women, not even for friendly visits. Many dormitories don't allow alcohol, and some dormitories even enforce a curfew. Most dorms are 2 to 4 students per room with shared restrooms and shower rooms, depending on the school. Dormitory staff typically conduct room inspections to ensure cleanliness or to conduct random searches for prohibited items, which could include things like ironing boards, rice cookers, or anything they perceive as a fire threat. They can also enter your room at will to conduct maintenance or repairs without notice. These occurrences can generate a sense of frustration if you're used to the freedoms and independence of living in Western countries. That said, the rent costs of living in a dorm are substantially cheaper than living off campus. If your dorm rent is roughly 200,000 won per month, you could expect to pay roughly double that for a similar living situation off campus, but with your own restroom and maybe a kitchen. Living off campus, you should also expect to pay your own utility fees, including water, gas, electricity, internet access, TV access, and maintenance. Most of these fees are covered by the school if you live in the dorms. Renting an apartment in Korea typically involves signing a contract to rent for a minimum of 1 year. Also, living off campus requires you to pay a room deposit, usually equivalent to 6 months of rent, which is a temporary payment that protects the owner in case you damage any of their property. You get the deposit money back after you finish your rental contract. So, for example, if you want to rent a place for 500,000 won per month, roughly $400, you should expect to pay a one-time temporary deposit of around 3 million won, plus a monthly 500,000 won for rent, plus an additional monthly 100,000 won in utility and maintenance fees. So, it ultimately depends on your budget and how much you value your freedom as a graduate student. And on that note, I'll conclude the video. I hope you found this information useful. Let me know if there's anything I missed or if there's any interesting topics you'd like me to discuss in a future video. As always, thanks for watching.